a cover-up. Adam.
Well, there's so many ways to go here, but let me just say condolences to Alexei Navalny. This is a name, if you're not familiar with, we've actually learned his name for years, because in 2020 we talked about a flight that he was on where he was poisoned, where Putin tried to kill him, and somehow he survived. So Putin at this point, if it's not clear to you, Putin is a bad dude. And for the Putin sympathizers, especially those on the far right, it's time to wake up. This guy is not your friend. He is not an ally. I know you want a strong leader, but a strong leader in the White House is a lot different from a strong leader autocrat in Russia. So, you know, there's terms like autocrats or theocrats, or there's terms like oligarchs. What Putin is a kleptocrat, and he is thieving and stealing and corrupting Russia like no other. Let me give you an example. Who was Alexei Navalny? Alexei Navalny in 2011 started a 501c3, which is a nonprofit called the Anti-Corruption Foundation. That was his foundation. Now, we've learned of Navalny because you interviewed Garry Kasparov, the world's greatest chess player ever, in the 2021 vault. You interviewed him. Later that year, I was invited to go to the Freedom Forum, where I was able to interview Garry Kasparov as well. That's the same situation where we interviewed, what's our friend's name? Yeonmi Park. I also interviewed Masih Alinejad, the woman who was anti-hijab Iran, basically vocalizing. But that year, Navalny spoke at the Freedom Forum via webcam. Now, why did he speak via webcam? Because he was already arrested and locked up and thrown in a Russian gulag. Now, this is a guy that was poisoned in 2020 on a plane on the way to Germany. This guy got asylum in Germany, got healthy, and what did he decide to do, Vinny? Go back to Russia, knowing that he'd be locked up, knowing that he'd be most likely killed by Putin. But he said, this is not how you show strength. This is not how you basically stand up to authoritarianism. This is what you have to do. He landed, and the second he landed, he was thrown in jail. And anybody surprised to see that he was killed by this Russian gulag is not paying attention to what Putin is doing. Well, so just one last point. So we're cool with him killing dissidents. We're cool with him shooting, poisoning, strangling people. Is that what we're saying? We're okay with him invading sovereign countries. We're okay with him locking up journalists, Evan Gershkovich. At what point do we say, all right, this man is corrupt? Final point. Do you know that, there's rankings of what country is the most corrupt country? I want to give a shout out to Russia. 2 years in a row, World News, World Affairs, Russia, 2 years in a row, most corrupt country on earth. Number 2 country, Pat, this should give you a little hope. Number 2
Ukraine
is Iran.
Oh,
Number 2 is Iran. So Russia is more corrupt than the theocratic, thug-like mafia regime in Iran. By the way, I'm not giving Ukraine a pass here, because Ukraine is the second most corrupt country in Europe. So there it is, Russia. Congratulations. Keep voting for Putin. By the way, there's an election in 1 month where he's a shoo-in to win, because he's already killed all his opponents, or they've been shut up or thrown in jail. So Russia, number 1, 2 years running. Iran, number 2. Last point, corruption. Do you know that how much money the Russian president gets a year? Do you know what their number is?
Well, he's a trillionaire, so, I mean, it should be good, right?
So the number... heads of government salaries. the number one highest paid salary in the world goes to Singapore. They receive $1.6 million. Hong Kong is number 2. Switzerland numbers 3. USA is number 4, $400,000. So our presidents, Biden, Trump, Obama, they make 400 grand. You know, in Russia, the annual salary is $135,000 a year. So tell me, if there's no corruption in Russia, how you go from being paid $135,000 a year to allegedly the world's richest man at well over $200 billion. He's created nothing but chaos, death, and murder, and he's going to be reelected by a landslide in Russia in 1 month.
Adam, can I ask you a question? Do you think any other world leaders have anybody killed? Do you think? I'm being genuine. Do you think?
No. Yes, I do, and that's why we need to stand up to these world leaders, not empathize with them.
I'm saying. How about our world leaders? You don't think that? I mean, this is just a big problem, and I get your passion, and God rest his soul. I feel bad for anybody that's trying to speak up, but are you surprised? Like Putin is, and Pat has said this, is a gangster. That's what gangsters do. And if you know you're going up against a gangster, again, I feel bad for him, but whoever said Putin was a saint? Do you know Russians, people in Russia, love their leader, Adam?
Well, that's what you think, because there's Russian propaganda on TV, and if there's anybody that tries to run against him, Exhibit A, Alexei Navalny, you'll end up dead.
Okay, but
so do you know that there's thousands of people that came out to protest Navalny's death, and they've all been thrown in jail?
Okay, but
so like to equivocate saying, hey, look, this is just what they do.
What do you mean?
They invade countries, they kill political dissidents.
You sound like you sound like you're explaining what America does. So my question to you,
America.
Hold on, don't say no. Have we ever?
There's a big difference between killing Donald Trump.
If you make your point, let him say.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I want to make my point. So
he asked me a question.
Have you ever heard of any political leaders having anybody killed that's talking shit about them, or like, you don't see it because it's not televised, because Russia and Putin it's such a dangerous enemy to us, but like it happens all the time. You don't think Obama or any of these people have had anybody killed? Like Edward Snowden, by the way, he was on a kill list. If they could have gotten to him, they would have killed him just for talking shit, and revealing what they were doing. And let's not forget, how many people, she's not the president, how many people have mysteriously died under Hillary Clinton?
So are you actually condoning killing of Alexei Navalny? What is happening right now?
No. Again,
you're condoning...
Don't put words in my mouth.
No. There's a difference between killing a bad dude when you kill what is famously Trump said. He's like, Soleimani is dead, or whoever the hell he said he talked about. There's a difference between Vinny, soak this in for a second. Killing Donald Trump versus trying to politically inexcuse him from a debate. He killed his opponent. They throw them in jail. They're wrapped around a noose around their neck with a piano wire. They're shot in the head. They're poisoned. That's a little bit different than what goes on here in America.
You don't think they
Please don't excuse what Putin is doing as completely just rational,
don't put words in my
and
mouth.
that they all do this.
Adam,
we just hold the parade in Dallas. That's how we do it.
Yeah, hold on. Do not act for 1 second that if they couldn't get away with killing Trump, they would do it. Please don't lie to yourself.
Okay,
hold on. Don't talk for 2 seconds. Don't lie to yourself. We've already found out that the CIA was involved with killing one of our presidents. Don't act, Adam. I love this innocence. Hold on.
Stop sucking Putin's.
Adam,
know what? I don't get it.
You sound exactly like Van Jones. You sound exactly like all these leftists. Yeah, you do, because
I'm saying that Putin is an autocrat who kills his political dissidents.
Every leader of every country
you sound like an authoritarian sympathizer.
No, Adam.
It's naive and it's ignorant.
You sound like you should work for CNN, because I'm not condoning shit.
You should
the
work
guy's a bad
for
guy.
the Russian
the
TV.
Guy's he's a bad guy.
You should go work for Putin.
He's a bad guy.
Okay.
What do you want me to do? You're I love the shock factor.
Who's under your desk right now? Tucker Carlson? What is happening right now? PPD, where are you going?
You have to go pee? By the way,
sorry.
Adam, can you do me a favor?
I'd rather work for... This is the problem that you don't get, Vinny.
Yeah.
I would much rather work for CNN than I would for Russian propaganda TV. You're trying to equivocate an authoritarian murderous regime to leftist sympathizers. Big difference, buddy. Big difference.
Who's saying that Putin's not a bad guy?
Vinny, you're doing that? I don't think you're doing that. I think you're restating it.
You are.
I'm saying he's a bad guy. Period. I'm saying, why are you so surprised that he killed the guy? Oh my God!
Definitely not
the biggest gangster in the world. He killed the guy. That's like saying Sammy the Bull. You have another body under your belt. Why are you so shocked? It happens. That's Vinny, who he is. He's not hiding it.
Nobody's shocked here.
He's
this
not hiding
expected.
It. No, he's not hiding it.
Okay. But you have Putin sympathizers like you that think he's a strong leader and strong like bull.
Wait. So be careful. That up. Back off a minute, buddy. Back that up. Where is he sympathizing with Putin? Where is he condoning?
Hold on, Adam. That's such
he's
a
giving a moral equivalent.
No, I'm not.
To Hillary Clinton.
Wait.
allegedly doing something
Oh, yeah, she
to
allegedly-
actually Vladimir Putin
she allegedly
killing
did it.
people.
Oh, yeah, she allegedly-
it used to be the conservatives and the people in the right
Let me
wing
ask this.
that were
Let me ask this.
anti-communist,
I got a question.
anti-fascist.
I got a
Now you
question.
guys are sucking Putin off.
I got a question for you.
Boy.
I got a question.
Boy,
So, Tom.
facts take a holiday with you, dude.
So I got a question
Calm
for you.
down, princess.
I got a question for you. So what?
0% tough.
What do you think is the percentage that Navalny was killed by Putin's people?
1 billion
Oh,
percent.
wait, you told me never to say 100%.
I know.
Whoa! So now you're eating your own word. 100% there's
All
a
right,
fact.
you know those 47-year-old guys that just walk around
Yeah,
and just
okay.
drop
Hey,
dead.
Adam, was he vaccinated?
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Adam,
Can I
Adam, was
ask
he
questions?
vaccinated?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask questions?
I can't
what do
believe
you-
that this guy's sympathizing
Oh,
with
here we go. Here we go with
What-
that word.
You
Can
need
you-
to call it a sympathizer.
Can I
to
just ask a
structure your
question?
argument,
What
man.
do you
That's so-
think?
so
What do you think
hollow.
are the chances that he was killed by Putin's people?
Ask Adam, because Adam said
He already
never
said. He said 1 billion%. What do you say?
Guess what? I don't know, Pat. Maybe 70%, because I was told never to say 100.
My Putin would never. Not my Putin. No.
Stupid.
Not
So
my friend.
stupid.
Not my friend,
so-
Vladimir. My friend would never.
So stupid.
Yeah, he would kill you in an instant if he could.
What percentage you think Putin, his people killed? Navalny?
Come on, Tom. Bust out your calculator for this
I
one,
think
guy.
this is like 99.9%.
Oh, shocker. Thanks, Tom, for being a realist.
So with that being said,
I mean, there's this little teeny thread in there, Pat, but it's like 99. I mean, this is the way Putin operates.
Tom, is it closer to 100 or 90?
No, I'm like at 99.99999.
But Vinny's somehow still at 70.
Because I was told by you never to say 100%.
Yeah, but even Tom, the smartest guy in the room here, knows 99.99.
Contradiction.
Did he see?
You're so oblivious that you're like 70%.
Let me follow
Has
up
he
with a
seized
question.
the assets of billionaires?
vaccinated, Adam.
100%.
Maybe it was
Did he
vax.
Let me
nationalize
follow up.
companies?
Let me follow up with a question. Here's a follow up with a question. So number one, everybody here assumes that if you were a betting man, you're betting that this was an inside job, and he took out an opponent. Great, so we're there. Now let's go to the next.
Do you have a percentage? By the way,
I think this team is capable of doing that.
Yeah.
I'm more towards yes than I'm towards
what
no.
percentage would you say?
I'm above 50% towards yes. Okay, so
what is happening right now?
So,
Okay,
but by the
go
way,
ahead.
but what I mean by that is, do I think it's a direct hit, or do I think it's a direct influence through proxy and other gangs and stuff like that? Yes, I'm there. So whatever that is, I'm in that area, okay? But do I think it's like a person that's a soldier coming in? I don't know about that. Now let's go to the second part. Okay, so what should happen? What should happen to him?
What should happen to who?
To Putin?
Well, nothing's going to happen to him.
No, what should, he said. What should happen to him?
I think
How should America react?
Well, I think what is going to happen, in my humble opinion, Vinny was so graciously saying that we should provide zero assistance to Ukraine, but you just went off on the Trump camp over people in New York basically not defending Trump, even if you don't agree with Trump, even if you don't agree with Voldemort Zelensky. There's a famous quote: the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. So when you're looking at this, let's go over a timeline for a second. You have the Tucker interview, you have the Senate foreign aid package, you have Trump basically coming out and saying, Russia, go ahead and do whatever you want to NATO countries. You have basically this week was the Munich Security Conference, and then following that, Putin is a sick KGB leader. It's almost like his name is in the news, so it's like, how do I steal the show? Kill my political dissident, right? So,
make your point.
My point is this: I think this will lead to them funding the Ukraine
point
foreign aid
about
package.
New York. You said about New York. Okay, where were you going with that?
No, exactly. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. I agree with the people in New York.
Can I turn it around? Okay. Can we play devil's advocate? Let me play devil's advocate. Just play along here with me with devil's advocate. Anytime something weird happens, you have to trust and put everything on the table of possibilities and then put percentage next to it, okay? Purely percentage next to it. All right, so let me ask you, has the bill passed for the $60 billion to Ukraine yet? Has that passed yet?
It went through the Senate, but not the House.
Okay, so meaning it's not done yet, right?
No, not even close.
And originally it was supposed to be the border bill, and eventually, is it fair to say that we found out it was never about the border, it was really about Ukraine?
it was fair to say that it was a conglomerate of money being sent around to foreign aid and domestic border bill. Yes.
The answer is yes.
So the majority was towards 60 billion Ukraine. Okay.
The majority was towards foreign aid.
And is it fair to say that the establishment, not the left, the establishment, the McConnell, the Schumer, the Pelosi, the people, the establishment, is not happy with the fact that that bill didn't go through? Is it fair to say that they're not happy about it and they're upset about it?
Yeah, he said it's become fashionable to avoid global interests around the world.
So then from there on, what stories did we hear? We heard, and by the way, this is a little bit creepy now, and I hadn't even thought about this. Do you remember when they said something very bad is about to happen in Russia? And do you remember that clip, Rob, that was going viral with everybody on the establishment, right and left, that was talking about something?
They were talking about space
nukes,
weapons.
Something bad's about to happen to Russia, right?
By the way, he was interviewed on Meet the Press this past weekend.
Who was?
By Chris, the guy that made the comment to Kristen Welker.
Right.
Was interviewed.
So how bad do you think the left wants to get rid of Putin?
Well, I don't think it's just a left thing. I think that anybody with sensibilities thinks that Putin is, as Alexei Navalny called him, a bad dude.
Let me replace it. How bad do you think the establishment wants to get rid of Putin?
On the list of probabilities, I would say very, very high.
Willing to do anything?
Such as what?
Anything. Willing to do anything to redirect the attention elsewhere, to cause the world to support them, to approve a bill to get rid of that guy. Is that?
I doubt that it's Congress, but if you're asking me if the CIA would do anything,
illegal,
shadowy, and what's illegal? Anything shadowy and
capable? Are they capable of it?
CIA is capable of anything.
So let's just play back any number of Nikki Haley's recent campaign speeches about depowering and removing Putin, and then she goes so far as to say also Xi. And she's very establishment, Pat. Yeah. They're out there saying it.
All I'm saying is, here's all I'm saying, guys. My first thing is, okay, yeah, that's the opponent, and you poisoned him in the plane and all this other stuff, Prigozhin. It's like a trend. Fine. So it's going towards
a track record to murdering your opponents with Putin.
I'm with
Nobody said that. Nobody's like,
just like Hillary Clinton, though, right? I mean,
50 people
exactly the same.
and their lives.
I'm with it. I don't think they're very different, by the way.
You're making a point here, Pat. I know where you're going.
I don't think those two are very different. But
I do.
Yeah, because you love Hillary Clinton.
No, I don't.
You still have an I'm with her sticker on your car.
I think if Hillary,
you have an I'm with her tramp stamp.
I think if Hillary was the president of the United States and could get away with things that Putin gets away with, she would gladly do it as well. This is my opinion. That's not your opinion. It's my opinion.
Yeah.
You don't think Hillary Clinton's capable of doing those
I think she's certainly capable. I just don't think she's Vladimir Putin.
Of course not, because you weren't.
Because she's more discreet about it. She's actually more Sun Tzu, Art of War type about it. All I'm saying to you is we have to sit here and assume that both is possible for it to happen. It is very high likely that this was the job of Putin and his camp. When is their election coming up, by the way?
It's in 1 month on March 15th. And anyone who was running against Putin,
was Navalny
nobody's heard
running
from them recently.
Was Navalny running?
No, he was barred from running because when he was thrown in jail, he was called a criminal, and you can't run if you're a criminal, I guess, unless your name is Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, to me, if I have to put orders of things that could have happened here, number one for me is this is Putin getting rid of an enemy. That's number one. Number two, in a distance, but it would be a number two, would be U.S., CIA, certain people from the establishment that maybe they have this kind of intel to create a ruckus at a time like this, to pass the bill, to get more Americans supporting Ukraine again, because the concept of Ukraine is becoming less and less what? More and more Americans, left and right, are supporting Ukraine less and less. They're like, what are we doing sending all this money?
There's a waning interest in
Even
Ukraine.
Kamala Harris came out and she said what? She came out recently, and Kamala Harris's words, by the way. She said, U.S. will help Ukraine for as long as it takes. A lot of Americans don't agree with this, to say we will support America for as long as it takes. So maybe they want to bring this out to be able to support Ukraine as long as it takes. It should definitely be on the list of possibilities of what happened with Navalny. That's all I'm saying here.
And I just, hold on, because Adam, that's you being a contradiction to yourself when you said, never ever, you said this in this room, never say 100%. You are saying it's 100%, which, hold on, let me finish. You cannot say that for a fact, but for you to be so naive, You are being so naive to be like, oh, Hillary, you can't compare. You're delusional to think that 50 some people that are involved with her ended their lives because they just couldn't. No.
Let's stay on focus. Let's stay on Putin here, guy.
Hold on, Adam. Like you always say, we can multitask. I can multitask. You're delusional and you're naive if you think that who the hell was the support? I can give a shit. What I said was he's a gangster and he's doing gangster things. You're naive to think that our government, our leaders, and not even the president, Hillary Clinton and her husband, could have people, hold on a second, that are against them, go up in a tree, hang himself with a cord, shoot himself in the chest with a shotgun, and the shotgun's never found. You're delusional, you are, to tell me that this guy, I'm worshiping Putin because he's evil, but there's no comparison with Hillary Clinton.
What year was Hillary Clinton president again?
Exactly. That should scare you even more. She's not.
Exactly.
But she still can't have everybody killed that fucks with her. Okay. Period. Sorry for my language.
Listen, if you want to believe that Hillary Clinton is a mass murderer, that's all you,
never
buddy.
Said mass murderer.
That's all you.
Never said mass murderer.
But I'm going to follow the stats here. Anyone that has been in direct conflict with Putin has been shot, stabbed, poisoned, death, murdered, blown up in a plane. So it should give you a little bit of pause that for some reason, the far right fringe, which I'm putting you in right now mentally, is somehow a Putin sympathizer.
Again,
and somehow is like,
you sound Adam, you sound like, who the hell, when the hell did I ever say that?
Say one bad thing. Yeah.
He kills people, you idiot. How many times do I have to tell you?
Okay, but you're the type of person that says we should give no money to Ukraine.
Yeah,
you should let him invade in foreign countries.
Adam,
you should let him lock up political dissidents.
My right fringe mind.
It's probably not even
my right fringe mind. Hold on, my right fringe mind. None of it happened during the right wing Donald Trump. Why did it happen all of a sudden? No. Why did it happen all of a sudden these past years?
You're saying that under Trump, nobody was murdered or bludgeoned to death under Putin? Have you read a newspaper in the last 20 years?
Russia and all this bullshit. Nothing happened. You are
completely untrue.
You sound like the mainstream media. You sound like the mainstream media throwing out those bullshit things. Putin sympathizer. Putin price hike. You sound exactly like the left wing media. That's the problem. You can't just throw stupid ass labels like that with no explanation. Oh, when did I say I'm sympathizing?
You're the type of person that would vote for Putin over Biden.
What are you even talking about, Adam?
Who would you vote for?
What are you talking?
Vladimir Putin or Joe Biden?
None of them. How about none of the above?
That's how
I'm on the sideline.
Twisted you are.
You would vote for,
you would actually sit this one out instead of an American president versus a Russian dictator. That's how warped you are. That I wouldn't vote for neither of them.
You know how warped you are?
The answer is Biden.
What are you even talking about? Adam, I'm voting for a Russian president. You're not making any sense.
You're proving my point.
No,
is that you're putting these guys in the same category.
Let's come back here.
American presidents versus Vladimir Putin.
Adam,
okay,
you're delusional.
It'd be one thing if Alexei Navalny were some sort of gigantic figure in Russia. The only reason you know the name Alexei Navalny is because the West has turned him into this mythological figure. There was a documentary made about him. It won the Academy Award for Best Documentary in 2022. All of Hollywood stood and cheered for this documentary about the hero Navalny. In Russia, he's a minuscule figure. He's not some giant of the Russian political stage. He is useful to the West for propagandistic purposes, and that is why you have this incredibly inflated imagery of what he is. Here's Reuters on February 21st of 2018. Putin nemesis Navalny, barred from the election, tries political siege. Remember when the proof of Russia's totalitarianism was that the opposition leader was barred from the ballot and then imprisoned? Isn't that a situation similar to what we have in the United States? Isn't it the case that the primary political opponent of the current government in Washington is in the process of being stricken from the ballot as a result of judges and Democratic Party leaders bringing cases to have them struck from the ballot, and is in the process of being criminally prosecuted by Democratic partisan prosecutors like Fani Willis in Georgia and Alvin Bragg in New York and the Obama DOJ? Why is it that when we hear that Russia is banning from the ballot the primary political opponent of Vladimir Putin and then trying to imprison him, we make one conclusion, but then when we hear in the United States that the exact same thing is happening, but an actual significant political figure, not like Navalny, but Donald Trump, who was actually the president already, narrowly lost in 2020, is leading almost every opinion poll for 2024. When he is struck from ballots, when he is threatened with imprisonment, a completely different narrative about that is presented, even though they're the same acts. And I know a lot of people just intuitively believe this is what propaganda does, this is what tribalism does, is that we just inherently believe that when it seems like the two things are the same, the fact that one is happening in the United States and the other is happening in Russia means they're completely different. Question, though, whether or not that's what you believe because you're an American, because you were born in the United States, because you've been told from childhood that that's how you should see the world. Here is Reuters. Now, this is not RT, this is not Sputnik, this is not Tucker Carlson, whoever you want to dismiss as some sort of pro-Russian source. This is Reuters in 2018, which said the following, quote, opinion polls put Navalny's support at less than 2%. And many Russians who still get much of their news from state TV say they do not even know who he is. He's incredibly more famous and more notable and more popular in Western political capitals than he is in Russia. The idea that he's a threat to Vladimir Putin in any way is laughable. Let's try and remember as well a couple of things about who Alexei Navalny is, the new hero of Western liberals. From Yahoo News in February of this year, actually yesterday, Alexei Navalny's, quote, far-right racist past brought back in spotlight after Putin critics' death. As world leaders pay tribute to Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny, some have drawn attention to some inconvenient aspects of his past. Really, what's inconvenient? Quote, as Western politicians pay their respects, some more uncomfortable aspects of Navalny's career have been brought back to the surface. Quote, Navalny took part in the Russian March, an annual demonstration that draws ultranationalists, including some who adopt swastika-like symbols. Oh my, that is uncomfortable. Quote, he has never apologized for his earlier xenophobic videos or his decision to attend the Russian March. Rahman appeared to be referring to a notorious video from 2007 in which Navalny appears to compare Muslim immigrants in Russia to cockroaches as he advocated for gun ownership. In another video, he is dressed as a dentist and appears to compare migrants in Moscow to tooth cavities, Radio Free Europe reports. He says, quote, I recommend full sanitization. Everything in our way should be carefully but decisively removed through deportation. Shortly before releasing both clips, Navalny was expelled by the liberal Yabloko party over his, quote, nationalist activities, having participated in the Russian March, an annual rally associated with ultranationalist far-right groups chanting slogans such as Russia for ethnic Russians. Now, anyone in the United States who has a past like that, who called immigrants cockroaches, who advocated gun control, as handing out guns as a way to exterminate them, as cockroaches should be exterminated, who attended an actual neo-Nazi march, I don't think they would be described as having an inconvenient or uncomfortable past. And yet it is amazing, just like we find in Ukraine, with all the neo-Nazi militias in Ukraine that the American liberals love and want to arm, that if you're somebody who doesn't love the Democratic Party in the United States, you will get called a Nazi and a fascist and a white nationalist. And American liberals and Western liberals will try to have you barred from the internet and fired from your job and basically expelled from decent society in every way. And then Western liberals encounter actual Nazis, people with actual neo-Nazi ideology, with actual overt ties to white supremacist and neo-Nazi groups, and they want to embrace them. They want to arm them. The hero Navalny. Here's the hero Navalny in 2007.
Здравствуйте! Сегодня мы поговорим о борьбе с насекомыми. Никто из нас не застрахован.
So just for the people listening, I'm going to just read the screen. It says, background left, Alexei Navalny, certified specialist. Hello, today we have to talk about insect control. No house is safe from cockroach infestation.
Наш дом заползет таракан. Фу.
Ooh, where a fly gets in through an open window. And there's all kinds of demons being shown as he says this. We all know the cure against flies, a fly swatter, a slipper against a roach.
Тапка. Но что делать, если
But what to do if cockroaches are too big and flies too aggressive? In such cases, I recommend a handgun, as he shows a handgun. Yes to allowing firearms. Now, anybody involved in an ad like that in the United States would be deemed a Nazi for the rest of his life. The Western media looks at this, and because of his propagandistic value, they turn him into some kind of like civil liberties leader. And of course, the same exact thing has been happening for the last 2 years in Ukraine. For the last decade in the Western press, every time the Azov battalion has been referenced, it has been described as a neo-Nazi group, as a group with Nazi ideology. And to this day, you see Azov battalions and their leaders and their soldiers, and they have all kinds of neo-Nazi insignia on them. Here's how the New York Times tried to grapple with this in June of 2023. Quote, Nazi symbols on the Ukraine's front lines highlight a thorny issue of history. Do you love these words? Oh, uncomfortable, inconvenient, thorny, when they're talking about actual neo-Nazis? Quote, the troops' use of patches bearing Nazi emblems risk fueling Russian propaganda and spreading imagery that the West has spent a half-century trying to eliminate. So far, the imagery has not eroded international support for the war. It has, however, left diplomats, Western journalists, and advocacy groups in a difficult position. Calling attention to the iconography risks playing into Russian propaganda. Saying nothing allows it to spread. Even Jewish groups and anti-hate organizations that have traditionally called out hateful symbols have stayed largely silent. Privately, some leaders have worried about being seen as embracing Russian propaganda talking points. Now, that is how the New York Times has grappled with the fact that we are arming actual neo-Nazi militia groups in Ukraine. Now, as I said at the start, there is a similar case to Navalny dying in prison. Although this was a case where the person who died in prison was an American citizen. His name is Gonzalo Lira. We covered this case on last week's show when we interviewed his father. And you may recall that Gonzalo Lira was in Ukraine. He married a Ukrainian woman in 2016. And he was an outspoken opponent of President Zelensky and of the war. And because of that, he was twice arrested. The U.S. government never once uttered a word of protest about this American citizen being arrested, even though he posted a video pleading for the government to help, and he warned that if he were arrested a second time, he would die in a Ukrainian prison. And he did die in a Ukrainian prison, just as he predicted at the age of 55. And he was in prison solely because he criticized President Zelensky and the NATO-U.S. narrative about the war. Now, you would think that when it happens to an American citizen who dies in a Ukrainian prison after criticizing President Zelensky, that all these people who are so deeply concerned with civil liberties in Russia might have something to say about that. After all, this is not a Russian citizen, this is an American citizen. And it's not done at the hands of a foreign government on the other side of the world who is our enemy, but an allied state that we are funding and financing. And they killed an American citizen for the crime of speaking out against the war. And there's barely any media coverage of this. It happened just last month. Because that has anti-propagandistic value, because it shows what a joke it is to claim that Ukraine is a democratic state.
So basically, it's Van Jones and Ann Coulter again on Bill Maher. Bill Maher wanted to know their thoughts of Tucker going in there.
Right there.
And by the way, Van Jones, play this clip, and I want to show you. This is the epitome of a beta male. Is this dude right here?
What do you think of Tucker? I mean, you used to be friends with him, right? I mean, going over there and
giving a lap dance to Putin.
Basically. I mean, parading himself for all these years as so pro-American, and then going over and basically saying this is the really good country, Russia, and this guy, and not bringing up any of his crimes. What is his motivation? Can you get into his head a little for me?
Well, no, no, I'm not a huge fan
of Tucker.
Jealousy,
I think a lot of what
jealous.
people do on both sides is motivated by seeking money and fame.
What a Tucker
this
wants
is
money.
the way to do it. This is how. I mean, couldn't he still be on Fox?
Look, I mean, he went over there and said, Moscow is this amazing city because the trains run on time.
Right.
I'm like, isn't that what they said about Hitler?
Okay,
Mussolini.
Mussolini.
No, it was
Like a
Mussolini.
fascist, like-
Mussolini.
Yeah, okay,
You
so
history
the trains run
major.
on time, but people are being literally, killed in prison
Yeah.
because they have an opinion. That's
think-
not a great country.
I
It's
think
not a
you
great
can
country.
say
It's not a great country to everybody in the world
you
except
say that
Russians.
people are motivated by money and fame if they were on Fox News. The Fox News that then had to pay $700 million in defamation. I would say you can read it on my Substack first, or wait for Fox to pay a $700 million defamation judgment.
By the way, Van Jones, the last time we heard of him, he was shaking and crying because Vivek, a skinny Indian guy, did a speech, and Van Jones was like, I was shaking. Okay, and for them to say that Tucker's interview let the world hear what an adversary has to say, and for them to say he's giving a lap dance, CNN is doing way more. They're having sex with Biden every single day. So for him to say that type of shit really, really drives me crazy. It drives me nuts. Now and look, and Bill Maher, like, what? Why would you go over there? We know why he went over there.
What did Colbert say? What did Colbert say?
Stephen Colbert has another Trump derangement syndrome. He was one of the, by the way, one of the biggest shills of the left. Remember him with his dancing vaccine stuff. He just had one of his TDS moments where, mind you, he's a comedian, okay? He's had to take off his glasses, run up to the camera to all the stuff that's happening with Trump right now in New York.
Hear it.
Yeah, look at
Go
this.
ahead, Rob.
I know how numb we've become, but it's not normal. No other candidate for the presidency has ever had to pause his campaign to defend himself in multiple courts. And I would like to point out that in all 7 of his cases, no one doubts that he did these things. We're just sitting around patiently waiting to find out if the wheels of justice will grind fast enough for there to be any consequences. And the media is covering it like it's any other political story, like it's all horse race. I know.
What? Don't you miss Jay Leno and Johnny Carson and those late night where it's supposed to be fun and happy? That's a political activist. Like, why is he so insane? And it's happening and it's shifting. But Bill Maher, I'm tired of people going, oh, Bill Maher's leaning right. And don't get it twisted, bro. It's because Trump was gone. Biden was in. They have nothing to talk about. They have absolutely nothing to talk about. It's election year. Trump is back. And now the Trump hate train, the wheels are starting to spin. And it's only a matter of time till Bill Maher goes back to old Bill Maher, where it's just Trump is going to start World War III. Trump is a Russian asset. Trump and all that bullshit. And I'm tired of it. And it's going to keep happening. It's going to get worse. And you're going to see it happen.
Regarding Tucker, you have to respect him for going to Russia. So for the people on the left that are like, I can't believe he's a shill, he's just a Putin
doing lap
puppet.
dances, Adam. Lap dances, they said.
He did, and Putin said it himself. Your friend, Vladimir Putin, your hero.
My friend.
Said, I was expecting a tougher interview. So,
Oh, yeah, he should have been
Vinny,
like-
can I talk? Or
Yeah.
are you just going to keep yelling all day? Putin said it himself. I was expecting a harder interview. So, it's been lauded many times that Tucker was basically giving a softball interview,
What would
which
you
he's
have
done
asked?
to Trump.
What would you have asked, Adam?
Why are you killing innocent people in Ukraine and invading countries? How about that?
You never would have
Why
said
are
none of
you
that.
killing your political opponents?
You never would have said
Why does it seem that anyone who's ever given any sort of challenge to you somehow gets poisoned. Somehow they just throw themselves, billionaires are locked up in jail, or billionaires are just throwing themselves out of windows. You know, all those depressed billionaires out there. How about tough questions like that? But that's not even my point with Tucker. The point with Tucker, what he missed, what he didn't understand, as much as our cities are crumbling, and and that does need to be held to account, the subways in New York, do you understand when the train stations in Russia were built? Do you know when they were built? Just take a wild guess, Vinny.
During Stalin?
Oh, exactly. Lucky guess. During Stalin. What was Stalin known for?
Killing people after?
Yeah, exactly. So how about misappropriating and stealing all the money from the people? Because communism and socialism takes all the money and usurps it to the government, and they build these lavish train stations, and the people are starving while they build these grandiose public homages to the great communist dictatorship of Stalin. So it's no wonder why they're the most amazing train stations in the world. I don't know how Tucker didn't understand that, because all the money was misappropriated to build these grandiose homages to communism. Whereas in New York, all right, there's called public-private partnerships is built on capitalism. And they're like, yeah, we could improve this a little bit, but it's going to cost a lot of money. But in Russia, there's no... Putin, again, makes $130,000 a year. He's worth $200 billion. You're a friend.
Yeah,
how much is he paying you to
my
suck
friend,
his...
So it's like Nancy Pelosi. And I love how you keep going to the gay route, which is hilarious.
I'm just saying you're a Putin sympathizer.
You're
a Putin sympathizer.
I'm telling you right now, if
it's
CNN,
crazy.
if
you
anybody
served
on
in
the
the
left
U.S.
is watching,
Air Force.
don't
You
talk
served
Adam,
in the U.S. Air
Adam,
Force,
don't even
yet
try
you're a
that
Putin
shit.
puppet,
Adam,
Vinny. It's crazy.
don't talk shit about my
expected
service.
more from you.
Adam, don't go there, because trust me, you're going to regret it. I'm telling
There
right
it is
now,
right there.
CNN.
There's your
I
lovely
think
homeland,
if anybody
Russia,
that works
Vinny.
for CNN or MSNBC, I would 100% give you a contract to go there.
Yeah, that'd
I
be
would
great.
take it
By the
if I
way,
was
Russia
you.
TV, if you're listening,
Yeah.
and if you could locate the 20,000 emails of the love letters that Vinny has written to Putin, he's looking for a job on RTV, propaganda TV.
So, Tom, next week it's just you and I doing a podcast.
Okay.
It's going to be fantastic. Me and you represent America.
Let's
Vinny-
do it.
You know, I
Vinny's-
think we should
I
do-
think I'm very pro-American right now.
It's the, you're pro Adam, which is something completely different.